Hi, my name's Renee Hoos, and I own Spire Mortgage Team. Over my 10 years as a commodity trader, my 20 years as a real estate investor, and my 8 years as a mortgage broker, I have had the absolute privilege of meeting some powerhouses that are transacting in real estate in Western Canada. Hey guys, we're back with another episode today, and I have the lovely Shaelyn Woods with me from Popowich and Company right next door to our office. We're so grateful that you're here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We're doing it bright and early on a Monday morning. It's like
good way to start the week.
Yeah, right. Okay, so Shay has been a realtor for 3 years.
Just over 3, licensed for over 3, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your background. Like, how did you end up in real estate?
Yeah, so real estate journey was a little bit different than maybe others. I was a social worker for 15 years. Long time, all throughout Calgary, mostly focused on like high-risk kids and family, that kind of stuff. Super passionate about that work and loved it, but I was just looking for something different. And I've always been interested in real estate. Me and my husband are currently renovating our 3rd house.
Cool.
So I kind of just got it for fun during COVID. Like, I just thought this would be a cool challenge. Maybe we'd flip a house or two. I just went into it with like very low expectations. Yeah, it kind of just continued to organically happen. So I got my license with the hopes of just kind of getting a mentor and seeing how things go, because they teach you nothing in the course.
Yes, same for mortgages.
You see nothing. I had never seen a purchase contract before. I didn't know what that looked like. So I knew I was going to need like some help getting into it. So that's where I spent my first just over like 6 months with my license, was with them. And then, I seen an Instagram post through Popowich and Company, and I had been following him on Instagram for a long time because he sells really cool houses, and I like to look at really cool houses. So I thought I had nothing to lose. So I applied and successfully got on his mentorship team at that time.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. I love that. I think that that's one of the big things we wanted to talk to today was mentorship, because I think there's lots of different opinions in the industry about mentorship, and about, obviously mentorship is not free in our industry. And so a lot of people, I think, don't want to pay a commission split to be on a team, right? They just want to go it alone. But I think you said it best, like the course teaches you nothing. So you need a mentor. So that's amazing. So talk to me about like what mentorship looks like for you, or it has looked like for you.
So when I first joined the team, it's called the expansion team. And at that point, I just kind of thought, I'll do this as like a little bit of a side gig. I'll keep my social work job full time. That was my full intention. And then just things kind of continue to organically go really well. I really was getting along well with Jonathan. I loved his vision for the team. And after being on his team for a few months, an opportunity to flip full time came up.
Awesome.
So I was like, let's just screw it. Let's just try this. What do we have to lose? So I jumped in, went full time in September of last year. So
awesome.
2 years? No, 2.5. I'm at 2.5 full years, whatever that means, with the team right now. And so for mentorship for me meant like a lot of different things. Like, you don't learn anything in the course at all. You learn how to not get sued is a big one. And you learn about dower, which is really great. But you don't know what any version of an amendment, an addendum, a purchase contract. You don't know how to market a house. You don't know anything coming out of the course. And so joining a team, I knew that I also wanted people around me. I come from a world full of people, and I've always worked on really large teams. So although our team's not really large, there's our team lead and then 5 of us agents, it's so purposeful in how we do the things together. And I always have someone to call, which is so great, especially just to like bounce ideas off of. If it's your first time writing a certain amendment with a holdback, like all of that terminology and wording is so important.
Yes.
And I would have had no idea how to do it.
And it's not even like that you wouldn't even know how to do it. It's like you don't even know that it's a thing, or that it's an option, or like a way to represent or protect clients, right? Like I think even just offering what's possible in terms of negotiation that's the piece of a mentor, right? Because you don't even know what you don't know.
Well, and like in order to work best, like in the best interest of your clients, like I don't know how you can do that without having any backing of knowledge about like what's actually available, how to protect their biggest investment they've ever made. So I think it's just a really big responsibility. And I just felt in order to do that the best I could, I needed support from the best. And so I just feel like wholeheartedly that I've continued to get that. And so as my confidence has continued to grow, that's been so helpful. And there's so many things I don't need to come to the team anymore for. But then there's always those one-offs that it's like, what do we do with this? And I always have people to brainstorm with. I think the other thing that's been so important as a team is like the relationships that kind of come with it. You're a perfect example. Like, if I would have started this on my own, I wouldn't have known who to go to for mortgage support, for lawyers, for home inspectors. Like, who do I trust out there? Who are our people?
Yes.
And I was just given this beautiful list of people who are also so strong at what they do, which makes you look really good as an agent, I think, too, coming off the bat when you have like consecutive, really strong people working with you.
Yes, I agree. And I think too, some of it is it takes like, you have to be able to leverage relationships sometimes. Like I know even for us at Spire, we pool with a larger team because we can leverage the relationships with lenders of the larger team, right? And like when you're coming at, a service provider with critical mass, they really pick up the phone when you have a question and, you're kind of leveraging somebody else's lived experience, which I think there's something to be said about that, right? It's huge. Yeah,
I think that's been really helpful. And just like coming from a team that I feel like has a really good reputation, we do what we do really well, but then that brings in other people who do that too. And so I think we're just really proud of like a well-rounded service that we can continue to give. And we work with people we trust. And it's just like a nice community, which is what I needed, especially coming from a social work background. I'm not like a Sharky one-on-one, like that's not my thing. I need people and I needed like community so badly. And we only meet each other as a group like once a week. It's just on Tuesdays. We don't go into the office very often. We're pretty much all remote work. So like that does fit really well for like my life in general right now, but I always have them, which is so cool. And we do lots of like team building stuff and community events. But in terms of like physical demand to like be anywhere, it's really low.
Yes. Cool. I love this. Okay. So one of the things that I always admire about what's going on next door is that I think there's a lot of traditional marketing. And so, I think we're in a world where so many people are focused on, Google ads or, social media ads or whatever it looks like. And a lot of this kind of lead generation, whereas I find, I see you guys next door and there's like pies out of the garage and you're loading your vehicles and, going out into the world with advent calendars or cookies or whatever it is, giving away pumpkins. Like it seems like there's a real sort of traditional belly to belly style marketing. Talk to me about that and how it's worked for you. And,
For me, it's come like naturally. So this is a perfect example. This is my first podcast. This is my first time being on camera. That doesn't come naturally to me and feels like out of sorts in a bit.
I think she's doing great, guys. What do you think?
Hopefully. But in terms of like how Pop Witch and Company does, that does fit with me. It's like more boots to the ground. It's relationship building. And it's like just really getting to know your community well. So we focus, mostly on West Calgary and into Springbank. We'll go anywhere and we're happy to go anywhere. But like driving down 85th, you see Jonathan's face, bus bench after bus bench. And I think there's just like this awareness in the community of like who we are, what we do. We do mailers to doors. We door knock the communities we want to be really hyper focused in. We just hand delivered 600 advent calendars to clients.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of that, which just feels really nice. And so we do maybe a little bit less on social media in terms of like property tours or one-on-ones. We're trying to get better at that. But I think as a collective, we're all really trying to push ourselves out of our like comfort zone to do those things. But what does come naturally is like that community stuff, which is so nice.
Yeah. I think sometimes, and I know this is a big one for us at Spire because we don't actually have to meet clients face to face, right? Like a lot of my clients I don't meet. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that this is a people business, right? And so I think that, in a world where it's all about AI and how fast it can move and, more of a transactional feel, I think it's really, really neat to see this focus on like this traditional style belly to belly marketing. Because it is a people business.
Yeah, we do like the Spring Fall Fair in Springbank every year. And every year, so I just did my third one with the team. And every year it's just like bigger and our table's bigger and it's more fun. And people remember us every time because we have like the spinning wheel and the this and like all these little trinkets for kids. And like balloons. And I think just like little things like that, our hope is that people remember us and that they remember our name and that, when they do potentially go to buy, sell, or whatever they're looking to do, they remember our faces and it just creates hopefully like an immediate comfort.
Yes, definitely. So talk to me about the door knocking. I want to circle back to this one because I think this is such an interesting, it's very like old school considered,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's such a dichotomy on opinion about it in our industry. So has it been successful for you to actually knock doors?
Yes, it's been very successful for me personally and others on the team. I have a few cool stories about it. I think door knocking has to be very intentional. Like, I don't think that you can just like widespread a community with a generic flyer. Where I've been the most successful on it is very like focused postcards. So for example, I had a young family. They really wanted to be in this one specific area of Springbank. And so we made a postcard. They completely agreed to all the name on it. So I had their first names, a little bit of information about their family because they had 3 young kids. And we just hit the houses that we knew that they would like. So they had to be a 2-story. They had to have a 3-car garage. So I knew the houses I was looking for. So I went out. It was about this time last year, maybe just a bit before. Door knocked probably 40 houses kind of throughout the community, just like really focusing on them. I got a call the next day from a family who shockingly was at a open house in the city at the same time as I was leaving my postcard on these families' door. And they said, we feel like this is kismet. Like, this was so weird. We were in the city. We seen this place that we really liked. But they're like, we're terrified to sell our house because we haven't had a good experience in the past. And they had 2 very large dogs that just like don't do well with change, don't do well with leaving the house. And so the idea of showings and pictures and people in and out wasn't going to work with them. And so, yeah, we did it off market. My people loved it. We seen it the next day. And then within 10 days, we were firm.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's like the coolest one. But there's also been really good ones.
Hang on, did you get the buy too?
Yeah.
For the buy
buy and sell.
Oh, on the other side.
No. I wish I got that one, but they that would have been awesome. No, they had a family friend that they did that with, but everything around the acreage property we managed.
Cool.
It was awesome. So that was a really cool example. And then I think some of the other ones are more just conversation starters, where it's just people who are kind of thinking about selling. I have somebody that's here for you. I've done probably like 6 off-market showings based on all door knocking stuff where we wouldn't have had access to that house without those happening. And then sometimes what I also, instead of just like a straight out door knock, this is more for agents than anyone. I don't think like a general public can do this, but if you know the area you really want to be in, I will background email every agent who is the last person to do a deal in that community. So I'll just mass kind of email BCC them in, let them know I have somebody looking, this is what they're looking for. And that sparked quite a few, like just good chats. And then agents love it because it gives them a perfect opportunity to reach out to their clients who they haven't maybe spoken to in 5-10 years to be like, hey, I have someone who wants to buy your house. They reached out. How's it going? And so I think mutually, I've never had an agent like not be okay with the fact that I've emailed them that.
I want to unpack some of that because I think that anyone that's listening needs to understand that this actually ties back even to the podcast that I did with Carmen DeLuca about the DocuSign era. Yeah. So I think that during COVID, it was just, somebody with a heartbeat looking to buy a home. It was that easy. And you were just pumping through DocuSigns, right? What Shay's talking about is hard work. Like, this is hustle and grind. It's hard work, but like that is the value that agents can add, right? Is like connecting you with a community, getting the details about who's recently sold a house, connecting with those agents. And that extra hustle is humongous. It's so big. This is the other thing though that I want to unpack. And then this maybe goes back a little bit to being part of a team, is that I love that you were saying door knocking has to be intentional, because I think a lot of people just door knock without a plan, right? And so you've obviously had buyers for those communities. So are some of your leads coming from the team?
From
are they just leads that you found in your network, or are they, because talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So mix of both. So our team does a number of different ways to get a lead. So we have sign calls and we have like website leads and realtor.ca and all of those things. So we're all on a rotation for those. Cool. So there's currently 4 of us on the rotation. So every time a realtor.ca lead comes in, and then you'll get 4 after that. So that works really well. Sign calls are awesome. Some of my like best clients have come from those. And so the way that works for our team is it just in terms of how that person came to you, your splits change a little bit differently, but I've always been like super open to them. That's not somebody I would have ever met without being on this team. I'm happy with how they came to me. My split might be a bit different, but I would have never met them otherwise. So it just is what it is. And I think splits are a part of a team. like factor, but it's also like you gain so much. And I think that that's sometimes like really understanding the value of what those leads mean and the exposure that being on a team means. And like, you're also paying, like Jonathan's been at this for a really long time.
Yes.
And so me being on his team is I get to be part of the reputation that he's spent so long building, and that holds so much value.
Yes.
So I think that it would be delusional for me to think that that doesn't cost me something too, right? Like the exposure, like I'm not paying for a booth at Spring Bank Fall Fair and all of the things that come along with it and all of that, but I get to reap so many benefits of that.
Yeah.
So I think that those are the really important things to consider when looking at a team, because it's not just about the splits. Like there's so much other stuff.
Yes. So I love this. So you're getting some leads.
Yes.
So, and then you've had mentorship and coaching about how to be intentional with door knocking. So you're expanding your network, not only with a new lead that also you guys knows probably 60 other people. So if you do a good job, it's 60 other people that are going to hear your name. Yeah. You're then allowed to and mentored to take that lead out into a community, door knock, try to further build your network because of it, right? With intention. And then I love too that you were just saying about, being part of all these events. So something that we were talking about before we started recording was the risk, right? Like, so I think, what was your quote? Like, I get all the benefits without any of the risk. Is that...
That's like real estate's expensive. And I think anybody who's a realtor like knows, but the upfront cost risks are crazy. And I don't know how other teams do it because I've only been on one and I've, had such a great experience, but like, I don't pay for my signs. I don't pay for a lot of my marketing materials. I didn't have to buy lock boxes. And so like coming into this work as a new agent, probably not making any money within your first 3 to 6 months easy, just based on how things close, even if you do hit the ground running, is hard. And so to be able to come in here and focus just on like the real estate stuff and the building the connections and all of those things just gave me so much more breathing room.
Yes.
And I think that still stands true. And we have like wonderful admin who have taught me so much on the back end stuff that like I would have never understood before. Pictures and like measurements and all of those things, getting a listing ready. Like those aren't things that on our team anyways, that I don't have to worry about like those costs right off the bat. And that has just really let me learn about this in a different way.
Yes, totally. We've talked a lot with other guests, and I've talked with so many agents and mortgage brokers, and I've coached so many mortgage brokers this year about building their business. And I do think like when you start, you have to be jack of all trades if you're on your own, right? You have to understand social media. You have to actually physically buy the signs or get a location, get an office, get set up. In mortgages, it's lender relationships, right? In real estate, it's relationships with, measurements, property inspectors, condo doc reviewers. Like there's so many things that need to get done. So I think that when you actually have that ability to just focus on your craft,
100%.
right? And like honing your sales skills, honing your negotiation skills, it's so huge, right?
It lets you focus on like the important stuff. And I think that just comes across like really nice.
Totally. And then it allows you, like, that's what impresses the client.
Yeah.
Right? Is actually you, right? And your service level. And so if you can focus on getting good at it, I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
it's
great.
been really good. I couldn't imagine. And even like as I continue to grow, I love being on a team. I'll always be on a team. I can't see a world that wouldn't happen for me. I also think this world can be insanely isolating. Like if you didn't have people to call or people to be around, maybe that's just because that's not my job at all. Like I love to be around others. But yeah, I think it could be really isolating work, especially when markets are hard. Like, and you're not doing the business that maybe you did the year before, and you're trying to brainstorm different things, or just like double check that your CMA reflects a number that, like, just all of that stuff. Like I love having 5 people who I trust so much just be able to call, and I know that they'll help me. Also, like it lets you take like time off. So if I want to take time off, yes, I'm still on my phone all the time and we're still going to be connecting with people, but I could be doing that from a different country, knowing that I've people here that are so ready to back me and show a house, do a property inspection for me, finish out that closing. Like we really do support each other, because we just know that like balance is so hard to find in this work. And that time off is really important.
Yes. We talked about this too, guys, before we started recording, and I think it's so important. I know at Spire, I'm huge on hiring people that have that are aligned with my core values around taking time off to spend with your family. And it feels like that's the same vibe that's happening next door. And I really think that I think in this industry, it's very hard. And I actually just want to be super clear. I don't care if somebody works 24 hours a day or 8 hours a day, but it has to be what you want. You can't do it with resentment of doing it, right? And I know for me, I probably work 10 hours a day, probably 50 hours a week, but at least it's at the times that I want to do it. And I know that we do have some phones off time at Spire. And I think it's so important. Talk to me about that, like, and how it works.
Yeah, we're the same. Yeah. So I'd say everybody on the team does it differently, like forever what fits their lifestyle. We all have kids at different ages and different stages. Mine are the youngest. And so for me, the flexibility to just like do school drop off or pick up my kid when they're sick or just like have that flexibility is something I didn't have before, has been like a game changer for my family. But I also have a husband who's like amazing and has really stepped up his game to do like the weeknights and the weekends when I'm like MIA, where before maybe I used to be there. So I think that's been good. But yeah, we've had conversations before where it's like set your dinner time and like you're not answering your phone during dinner time. Like be really intentional with your family. Jonathan has been like the biggest proponent of that. He's such a family man and he does it so beautifully that even sometimes I'm like, how do you manage like all of these things? He's coaching both of his kids' volleyball teams this year and just like didn't miss a beat. That's been really cool to see like how you can do all of these things and still take on all the deals and like not really miss out. So yeah, I think we're all just figuring it out. Some of them like ski lots on the weekends with their kids, but then they still do a ton of business. So I think we've all figured out in our own ways of like how to balance stuff. And it all looks really different probably for each one of us, but just having the ability, like you said, to like pick the hours of the day where we're really going to hone in and focus has been so cool.
Yes, definitely. And I think honestly, that comes back to team structure too. Like Spire was created so that I could still be super focused on my family. Right. And I feel like having the support and honestly, I just know that's how I want to show up in the world, whether I was a mortgage broker or a realtor or someone else. And so it's really cool to just find your spot where you can find folks that are, you know, it's all in alignment, right, with how you want to show up.
Yeah. Like I think we all know, like when a lead comes in, we're on it. We're not like our response time is still so quick, but then finding that balance is just, and like having the permission to do that has also been like so cool.
That's
and
awesome.
Like taking time off and going on vacations, or to some people have lake houses or like whatever that looks like. We all know that like we're going to respect each other and like then cover for each other. So there's always conversations going into summer or other things of like, not so much that we have to like plan our vacation around each other, but being mindful of like, okay, so-and-so is gone, you know, these 2 weeks. So then maybe I won't take my time then I'll do it here. And then we can kind of cover each other. So we're always having like those talks.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's great.
Cool. I love that. Let's change direction a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about confidence as a new realtor. And so have you ever had any moments where you're negotiating against somebody that's been doing it for 30 years and you feel like imposter syndrome or like, oh my gosh, any of that stuff?
Yeah,
Talk about
of course. And I think for me, it was so difficult, like coming from a world that I knew like social work, I knew everything. And I was team leading a team of 9 when I left and just knew that world so well, where then flipping over to this where I'm like, I don't even know in my first day, I'm like, okay, they want to offer on this house. What do I put in this purchase contract? Where do they sign? Yeah. So like that was hard. And then as I've get into it more and more, like real estate's tricky because especially in negotiations, like there's so many people who really want to lean into the fact that they've been an agent for 30 years and this is what they do. And they'll really trying to use that to maybe make you feel like locked down or knocked down in your confidence. But that's where being on a team is like, I don't know, not inflated, but like given me so much confidence where it's like, I don't go into those conversations without knowing how I want to move forward because I've done the background stuff with Jonathan, Sean, like all of the guys on my team to be like, hey, am I on the right track here? What should we do? What should be my strategy here? And it just gives me like a really nice kind of bouncing off point so that I'm feeling really confident going into those conversations if it was something like I was unsure about. And yeah, like at the end of the day, people might try and like bully you through a negotiation, but I just like don't feed into it. It's just, it's pretty easy for me to just like let it slide.
That's awesome. I love it. I think I know as I've done this longer and longer, there's less negotiating in our world, but even just, you know, getting on the phone with a client and staying in control of the deal every year, it seems to get a little bit easier with a little more experience. And I'm grateful for just, you know, the volume of deals that we've been able to do to just like exercise that muscle, right? I think that's part of it too is because you've been part of the team, you've been involved in so many transactions so quickly that I think it probably also just builds on confidence because you've seen so many different scenarios already, right?
I think, yeah, for sure that helps. And like we always, when we meet on our Tuesdays, talk about like anything crazy that had happened that week with any deals that any of us had done. How would we have dealt it differently? Or there also is like, I think we know there's a ton of new agents in Calgary. So although we might really know what we're doing on our end, we're also trying to navigate potentially doing with a deal with someone who this might be one of their early on deals. And you can tell sometimes that they don't have a team. And so although we're trying to like guide others through a negotiation and like what contracts that need to be done, and that can result in like really interesting kind of circumstances too.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It has been a very hard market to transact in terms of, just to like kind of give listeners a little bit of detail. So our industry has just grown massively, both mortgage agents and realtors since COVID, right? Like I think there's an additional 3,000 realtors or something.
Yeah, like 2,500 if not more. Yeah.
It's wild. Yeah. And it's because Alberta was just like, listen, there was massive in-migration, right? It's a very low barrier to entry. So lots of people
shockingly low.
Yeah, shockingly low. And so lots of people joined the industry, both on the mortgage and the real estate side and the financial planning side, you guys, too, just as a FYI. Yeah. So it's really, really important when you are working with somebody in a real estate transaction or like in the money world that you do your due diligence and ask like what their experience level and what their support system is. Because it is wild. There's so many folks that have no experience, and that's fine as long as you're well supported. Yes. It's not super fine if you're out there kind of just,
or at least if they're at least asking for like willing to ask for help. But like when you're doing a deal and they have to write an amendment and you can tell really clearly like they've probably never wrote one before, I just wish that they would be more open to like asking for help or assistance or like how to do that, because at the end like we want the deal to go through too, and we want it to work in best interest of our clients, and having, you know, properly worded stuff is the way to do that. But I just think sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think that I think our industry is in an interesting place. And I think as markets shift and change, obviously there'll be changing dynamics. But yeah, I would love to see some kind of, you know, leadership in our industry just say like, hey, I think mentorship is important, at least for the first year for folks so that they...
Oh, it's crucial.
You know, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think if you want to do this for like the long haul, because I think like the turnover rate for realtors is really like quite low. I don't even know what the stat is, but it's something crazy, like 10% stay within the... like after 3 years or something. Have you heard that?
Yes, it's wild.
It's very low. Yeah. So, but I think joining a team and like getting that really intense, like kind of like education mentorship at the beginning is what's going to give you longevity. Like it's the number one thing I think that would help carry you on and on. Cause like you can do really, really well in this. And that's why people join, right? Like you watch the shows and you see what all these flashy realtors are doing like all over the world kind of thing. And I think so people see that, but it's so different than it is on TV. It's not like TV.
You're not selling Sunset every day.
I wish. Their outfits are great, but no, I'm not on selling Sunset. No.
That's funny. Okay. Well, tell me, so what is next? Talk to me about your goals for next year. Do you have any big goals?
Goodness. I think like my big goals might not seem like super big to others, but it's just like continuing to grow at a really nice rate. So I had my number last year. I increased that by 5 houses. I want to increase it by 5 more this year. Cool. And then just like that feels like doable to me. And if there's more than that, then that's great. This year was like my first year, like last year was a really great year. Like things just like you probably felt the same, like things were moving and shaking and there was lots of people around. This year's been like a little bit more difficult. I'm sure next year will be a bit of the same. So just having like really, I think also coming into this, just having very nice expectations of yourself. And although like goals are so important, but be like realistic and not too hard on yourself when it does. Sometimes you're going to go 3 or 4 months with probably out getting a deal because it's a slow season and then it's slow summer. But then all of a sudden you might do 6 in a month and it's like, okay, that kind of works out. That's really nice. So I think just like not being too hard on yourself and knowing that like it really does ebb and flow, which is tricky, but then planning for that financially too. Because our paychecks are not stable at all. Like you might do a deal and like I have one right now and I did it and it doesn't close for 4 months. So it's like, okay, cool. Like I have to budget when that comes through. So yeah, increasing by like 5 houses is my goal, which is great from where I was at. And then just my favorite type of business is referrals. And that's where I'm like growing in a really nice way right now. And so I would just love to see like that continue to grow really organically. And so I think that's the important thing too. If you're on a team that you might get a lead and you might get a commission split on it, that feels like, oh, that's like not exactly what I was wanting. But I've had so many of those now, which have led into referrals, which then is only going to work out better for you in the long run. And so take them. Like, you might not be ending up making that much money for it, or you might feel like it isn't that big, but you don't ever know where like that lead can lead to another, and to like the referrals of it all. That's what I love. So yeah, I really like doing that, and would just like to continue to grow on doing those things.
Yes. I love that so much. Yeah. I think that I've had some other conversations recently, and I know this has been a huge, huge conversation we've been having at Spire, is like, we need to take care of the people that we've already worked with, that have, supported us. How can we show up and thank them for supporting us? And how can we remind them that we're here if they know anyone that needs us, right? Yeah. And I think that we've not done, and a lot of that is just belly to belly. Yeah. It's like, hey, thank you. How are you? Yeah. What can I do for you? How can I show up in service for you, right? And so that's certainly a big focus here as well. So
and those ones just feel nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you already have like, I don't think you feel like the need to like prove yourself like maybe as much, or like kind of sales pitch them, because like they already know you. They know through their family or friends or whoever they heard from you of like kind of how you work. So it just like, it makes like for a really smooth process a lot of the time. Yeah. I've been really liking those.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yes. I think, famous quote, like sees like, right? So if you do a great job for somebody and they appreciated it, it's really easy for them to say, hey, I think this is a fit that it would work for you to work with that person. And definitely that's such a nice way to lean into business. And good for you. I love it. Well, thank you for being here today and sharing all of this great stuff. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're very excited to see. I'm sure you're going to probably be 10 more houses next year. You're killing it over there.
Fingers crossed. That'd be great.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.